Hi, this is Dr. Deb Watry, and this is a review for you for week 4. When we get through week 4 or into halfway through week 4, you're halfway through the course. Congratulations. Please do take a look at the weekly videos. They are to explain what's happening in the course, give you more detailed explanations, and set the groundwork for weeks to come. Also, your weekly readings and materials. This is required. And when I look at the course analytics, I see some of you are not even clicking into the week's readings and materials, and then you're sending me emails about what you need to do, and the readings are very important. So this week you're doing Chapter 2 of the Literature Review, probably the most challenging of all of the research that's and writing that you're going to be doing for your thesis, and then your discussion. So your week 4 readings, chapter 6 talks about how do you write that chapter 2. Okay, and this is also then a resource I put in there about what I'll be looking for in your chapter 2. And this is a video that talks about how do you select and develop your themes for the 3 components, the 3 parts of chapter 2. In the week before, in week 3, I gave you some additional resources. This is our template that you use. Resources for writing chapter 2 and resources for writing chapter 3. These are additional. They weren't originally in the course, but I put them there to help you. Go back into your chapter 1. You need to identify right away in your chapter 1 what type of research method your study was. So whether it's a qualitative or quantitative or a mixed method, you need to tell your reader right away in chapter 1. So some of you may need to go back and add that. So your literature review, again, it's a Word document. Okay, and you'll be doing 6 to 8 peer-reviewed research articles on your topic, and they should be divided into about 3 sections here. That length of the literature review is between 8 to 10 pages, and most of my students are 10 pages or over. Do chunk your time. This is not something you wait until Saturday and decide to write that literature review. Do spend some time in planning and laying it out throughout the week. In the BUI text, okay, in your introduction, you set up the 3 areas that you felt were needed and needed more study or needed review. You're going to use this for your literature review of chapter 2. So you take those 3 areas and they're going to show up again in chapter 2 in those 3 specific areas. So this is the brief literature, the developing of an introduction, 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, and this is what's covered in there. You don't use a subheading. You don't write introduction up here. And again, write out the word 2. So it would be chapter 2, it's written out. So your subheading goes in the left margin, and this is where you will synthesize the 2 or 3 articles that you found that dealt with that subheading. Your next subheading. So in your introduction, you tell them that these are the 3 subheadings that you're going to be working with, so your reader knows ahead of time. Okay, and notice this is a synthesis. This is why you practice doing the annotated bibliography and the article critique, so you can do a synthesis of those articles appropriately in your chapters. And then the summary. This does get a heading. Up here there doesn't say introduction. You just go right into that introduction. But you do write a summary here. And then this is what goes into that summary. You should cover these 3 components and the last sentence of your summary. So this might be 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs long. That last sentence will lead your reader into chapter 3. After every chapter, make sure you're doing a page break, so you have a clean page to start the next chapter on. So that introduction, there's no heading, 2 or more paragraphs. I would suggest trying to put in a quote or 2 or a citation in that introduction, because it really gives some pizzazz to writing that introduction, and make sure, lets the reader know that you've really considered the research that's out there. And again, your conclusion, which is listed as summary. It's a summary paragraph or 2. These are the important things that you will do, and end with that lead-in sentence. Okay, end in with that lead-in sentence with chapter 3, presents. Chapter 3 describes. Chapter 2 is all written in past tense, except for that last sentence, Chapter 3 describes. So this is research. You're analyzing and synthesizing the research that you've read on your topic. And that research, those people are already finished with their research. So you would want to write it in the past tense because those studies are already completed. And you write this as if your study is already completed. So covering APA citation basics. Again, basically you want to use that person's last name. Remember in the video of last week I talked about the use of ETAL. Please go back and review that. I'm not going to keep giving you that information in every weekly video. If you see this, if I put in something like right here and I put that word source, that means I'm looking for you to go back and add a citation in that place. This is only a short paragraph. You want to introduce the writer, the author right away in that first sentence or two, but you also want to give again credit to that person at the end. Any source that you list, I will be checking that you also have listed in your reference. And anything that's listed in your reference must be a citation that you've used in your writing. So again, remember to do that page break even before the references. And again, I'm checking over your references, making sure that you're doing that correctly. This is a government file, and where this was, remember, you'll use the words retrieve from and the text, that web page for that government file. This is a resource with 3 different authors. Notice the capitalization. Only the first word gets capitalized in an article, and then if there's a period or a colon, the first word there. Everything is not capitalized. And journals are capitalized and italicized. This is the correct way to do DOI. You do not write retrieve from for DOIs, and this is the abbreviation that you use, and the number goes right here. This is something from the Wisconsin DPI, and there should be a period here, and there's not, and the title of it. And here you retrieve from. I should not see in any of your references a retrieval from the UW Superior Library, because a reader cannot get into that resource then and go back and check it out because they're not a member of UW Superior. So looking ahead, this is very important. The IRB committee will meet about the middle of October, and they need your maybe October 7th or something like that. The committee chairperson told me they will need your IRB exempt status form. So it's when we're looking ahead, go ahead and take a look at that form and start filling it out. It's about a 3-page where you will write maybe 4 paragraphs, but you fill out what your topic is and the time of your study and that type of thing. This gets sent to me. Okay, it doesn't get sent to the IRB committee. It gets sent to me. I review it. We'll make some changes if necessary, and then I send it on with your IRB certification to the IRB committee. So what you're doing, because it's not a full-blown study, is a declaration of exempt status. This is from the UW Superior IRB committee's site. So it's a declaration of exempt status. They read it over and they will tell you if you need to do a full IRB, and hopefully not. So you want to make sure that you do that IRB declaration completely. So the declaration of exempt status, you submit that form to me October 1st. So you can submit it ahead of time. But you're going to explain your project, and at the end there's just a real light little thing where they ask you to put your initials in, so don't forget to do that initialing. This is where we are. Introduction should be all finished. You're working on your literature review, and then next week you'll develop, it's a shorter chapter, probably about 5 pages, where you talk about your methods. So you're getting there, and I congratulate you on all of your hard work. Please don't forget, if you have questions, to go ahead and email me. We'll try to get you through this process. And again, I just encourage you to chunk your time, to work on it a little bit throughout the week, so your weekend is not so full of writing that literature review. This is probably the heaviest chapter for you. So good luck. Wishing you the best.